Now to the other big story today, the release of American Dennis Coyle. For 421 days, Coyle was unjustly detained by the Taliban in Afghanistan. And his sister Molly Long joined our show repeatedly to update us on their work to bring Dennis home. And after I asked President Trump about his case in January, this is what he said. What is your administration doing to get him home?
Well, if you give me the name.
Dennis Coyle.
Okay, you give me some information, I'll take care of that.
And barely more than 2 months after our sit down at the White House, President Trump did take care of that. The Coyle family said today that their hearts are filled with overwhelming gratitude and praise to God for sustaining Dennis's life and bringing him back home after what has been the most challenging and uncertain 421 days of our lives. Tonight, Dennis expressed his own gratitude on Cuomo as he flies back to the United States.
I'm blessed to know many people. And on Sundays, I would pray through the time as people were often going to church for all the people I knew, but I knew many others were also praying. So a heartfelt thank you. And I'm very, very blessed to be an American.
The family also thanked President Trump and members of his administration who worked to free Dennis from Taliban captivity. And joining us now are Congressman Hamadeh from Arizona and former Special Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs, Roger Carstens. Thank you so much for being here, both of you. It's great to have you. Congressman, let's start with you. In the statement from Dennis Coyle's family, they named you as one of the champions of the Hill, thanked you for helping to get his release. How did you first hear about Dennis's being held captive by the Taliban, and what was the process like of you getting involved to get him home?
Sure. So his family, his mother and beautiful sisters, they came to my office in Washington, D.C. Back last year, and they advocated for Dennis to come back home. And this was done secretly. At the time, nobody really knew Dennis was captured by the Taliban. And they're the true champions. They went every single day to congressional offices, to my office and other members of Congress, telling the story about Dennis. And, for America first means leaving no Americans behind. And, it was really important for me to be able to champion Dennis because, imagine being held by the Taliban in Afghanistan with no communication for 14 months, and yet here his family members were, day in, day out coming to Capitol Hill, knocking on doors. So it was really beautiful to see this conclusion. But we have to credit so much to President Trump and his amazing team to keep putting the pressure on them.
Yes, absolutely. Roger, speaking of that, we're going to learn more about how Dennis was released and secured, of course, in coming days. But when you were appointed by President Trump in his first term as a special envoy for hostage affairs, what sort of work goes into getting Americans released from hostile countries across the globe? Obviously, every situation is different. As the congressman just said, a lot of this is done in private because it's very sensitive. Just tell us kind of the details of the Trump approach to getting Americans home.
Yeah, I think the Trump approach is actually, I would say, truncated. There's a lot less, I would say, deliberation, which is not a bad thing because time is of the essence in these things. I would say that regardless, it's always a team sport. And I think President Trump showed that today when he was able to secure this release. Whether I was working for President Trump or the person who took my job, Adam Bowler, doing an amazing job, they bring to bear everyone from President Trump, National Security Advisor Rubio, Sebastian Gorka, who handles the CT account up at the White House, my replacement, Adam Bowler, and so many others. But as the congressman said, also the family members play a dramatic role in getting this done, as do our partners and allies. In this case, the United Arab Emirates and also Qatar playing a role to bring them back. But at the end of the day, I think we saw Zal Khalilzad, Ambassador Zal Khalilzad, the former special envoy for Afghanistan and a family advocate by the name of Hanzo Lee, sitting across the table from the foreign minister, Mutaki, and actually getting the job done. So this is a team sport, and it includes everyone from congressmen, senators, their staffs, members of the U.S. government, but also the media. And I just have to give props to you and Chris Cuomo for not only raising this to President Trump, but getting that first interview today and just raising the public's awareness of Dennis's case this entire time and just really being a conduit for his family.
Thank you. That's very kind. It's the least we can do, I would think, given his circumstance and all the work that everybody else is doing. Congressman, of course, Dennis's safe return is great news, but there are other Americans who are still being held hostage. And of course, Kayla Mueller, who is from Arizona, who was killed overseas while being held hostage. Her body has not been returned. So what efforts are underway to get the people who are still being held captive or those who have been killed back home to their families?
You know, what I've discovered being a congressman, you know, we've had a lot of people released in this past year. If you look at Elizabeth Surkov was released by some of the Iraqi militia. And what was credited was that they were fearful when news got out. When President Trump was made aware, they were so terrified of it. So that's why it's so important to keep the awareness on. So hopefully the Taliban now gets the impression that, you know, America means business. If you hold one of our own, we're going to come after you. And we're very thankful to our partners overseas who are able to negotiate this release. Ultimately now with Syria, regarding Kayla Mueller, you know, she was brutally killed by al-Baghdadi 11 years ago, and her body still remains in Raqqa. So I've had conversations with Syria's president, new President Shara. We're still trying every single day to recover her body and her remains back to the United States because, again, you know, something I really respect about the Israelis, they go to great lengths to recover their missing, and the ones who are alive, but also their deceased. And that's something us as the United States government, we need to go to that great lengths too.
Yeah, absolutely. Roger, on that note, you know, Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, just did a special designation to countries who use Americans as political pawns. Do you think that was actually helpful in this case to get Dennis Coyle home? Do you think that will be helpful in getting additional Americans who are not only still being held by the Taliban, but elsewhere back home to their families?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's calling out and naming this horrible crime. And it's an important thing when you put a name on it. And when the United States puts that into a designation, it carries some serious power. Now, you know, the Taliban will say that this is a humanitarian release at the end of Eid al-Fitr, and that might very well be true. It's a way of maybe honoring the end of Ramadan. But, you know, there are some other things in the backdrop. The United States, not too long ago, captured Nicolas Maduro out of Venezuela. We're prosecuting a pretty tough war against Iran. There's a fight right now between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and the United States is, to my knowledge, taking Pakistan's side, acknowledging their ability and their right to defend themselves. So I think the Taliban probably made a very prudent decision to let Dennis Coyle go. But I think what they really should do now is release the other Americans. We have Mahmoud Habibi, who's been missing since August of 2022. We have Paul Overby, missing since 2014, and Polynesius Jackson, who's still held in Taliban custody. So it's my hope that these tough measures, as my good friend, the Congressman, pointed out, will get the Taliban to relax their hands and release these Americans back to their homeland.
Yeah, and prevent future Americans from being held hostage
Absolutely.
as well. Congressman Abe Hamadeh and Roger Carstens, thank you both for being here and your insight. We appreciate that.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.